Hello, my name is Bailey Wright. I work for Texas A&M AgriLife Extension Service as the District 1 4-H Program Specialist, and we are back for our second video of 10 Steps to a Record Book. Today we're going to focus on step number 3, the projects charts. Hopefully, since the last time you watched video number 1, you've gathered and prepped your list of basically what's going to go in each section of the record book. If you're not sure what I'm talking about, go to the District 1 4-H website under the Record Books tab. Go ahead and watch that first video before you watch this video. Hopefully you're also either chose what category or you're getting closer to choosing a category to put your record book into. And I just want to touch base on that really quick. Make sure you're communicating with your county agent in terms of letting them help you decide what categories may be the best fit. They might have some extra insight there, and just letting them know what you're thinking so that they can organize and begin to make plans as well. So touch base with your county agent on what category you're planning to submit your record book in. Also, I'm going to backtrack one more time. I realized when I watched the last video back, number 1, it was a little blurry. I'm trying some new things this time to make sure, hopefully it won't be blurry. Number 2, I didn't really touch on what the purpose of a record book is, and I'm not going to go too in depth. I think these are conversations that can be had at the county level, but there is obviously a competitive aspect to record books at the county level, at district level, and potentially state level for seniors who qualify to go to state record book judging. And competition is fun, and I showed y'all where that scorecard is at. If you want to do record books competitively, I think that's awesome, but there's much more to a record book than that. They're obviously a great tool to teach record keeping skills for youth. They're a great reflection of the progress you've made in 4-H, the growth, your accomplishments. They're an awesome goal setting tool. They help you assess your project work, your leadership skills, and where you want those to go. So I think those aspects of record books are all just incredible skills for our youth to have. But one of my favorite parts of a record book is what a useful tool they are for scholarships for those high schoolers who are getting ready to graduate, and not just in terms of the Texas 4-H Opportunity Scholarship, although we did have 22 youth from District 1 apply for that scholarship. I was privileged enough to see 19 of those applications before they got sent in, and I thought they were of super high quality, and every single one of those applicants had done a record book, and I can't imagine how much more difficult it would have been to complete an in-depth application like that without having that record book done. So I think there's such a tool there. But another part of my job I really love is I get asked to look at scholarships a lot for maybe kids that are going out of state or just applying for more general academic or leadership-based scholarships. And the kids that have done a record book just have a certain skill set in terms of putting applications together and writing narratives. Their skill set is much above average, and I think that's because of their experience with record books. And they also have charts and experiences that they can easily access to use on these other scholarships, and they use parts of their 4-H story in their scholarship essays and narratives. So just know that I think it's an invaluable tool when it comes to time for scholarships, and the quicker you start a record book, the easier they are. So I'll get off my soapbox and we'll dive right in to step number 3, projects charts. This is a challenging step to me. There's a lot of different opinions on how this section can be done, some personal preference, and we'll talk about some of those, but basically I'm going to show you the meats and potatoes of what needs to go in this project section of your record book. Some examples of different ways you can format them, and we can talk a little bit about different opinions and help you choose how you're going to format this section. So I'm going to switch screens really quick. Stay with me. Okay, hopefully we're back on track now and y'all can see this simple little outline. Y'all, I know this is so informal, but this is how I would put a record book together and the way I do it. I know everyone's different, but hopefully you can relate on some level. So for the project pages, there's one section, it's 4-H projects. We'll look at it in a minute, where you can list up to 4 4-H projects. If you're a newbie, if you're a younger 4-H'er, you might only have 1, you might only have 2. It's not a big deal, don't worry. And then there's a separate section for if you couldn't fit all 4 of your projects on the pages that are allowed, or if you have 6 projects and you want to show off the other 2, it's called other projects. Maybe they're projects that you're less involved in, or you haven't been involved in them for as long of a period of time, and you can use the same format that we come up with on those pages. So to me, the project pages is basically the meat and potatoes is what you did and what you learned. That's what needs to be included on these project pages, what you did and what you learned. So I broke that down a little bit. What you did, I mean, project meetings, you attended contests, you've gone to practices, any other project experiences. Again, I'm going to hit on this again because of our current situation. Self-led at-home 4-H projects are still 4-H projects. Helping mom cook dinner is a project experience in terms of the foods and nutrition project. So that's where some of those might fit in. Workshops, tours, the list goes on, and we'll look at some other examples. But those are the things you did. And then what you learned would be skills you've gained or knowledge you've gained. Did you learn knife safety? Did you learn how to thread a sewing machine? Did you learn how to make a balanced meal plan? Did you learn money management skills? Can you now clip a pig? What are those skills and knowledge that you've gained in each project? So that's what we're going to be focusing on for your project pages. These with the asterisk are some extras that I think some people include on these pages. This is what has to be included on your project pages. This is what they're asking for. These are some extras. People include the time they spent in their project, how many people they reached or people they impacted. Some people include a summary of their project. We can look at that. Some people include how much money they spent or money they invested into their project. So we're going to look at a couple examples. We're just going to go ahead and dive right in and talk through it. Again, I hate that we can't do these live or face-to-face, because I would love to answer questions and better explain things through questions. But if you have questions, you can A, reach out to your county extension agent and they can answer those questions for you or find the answers for you. B, you can always comment on our Panhandle District 1 Facebook page in the comment sections, and I can interact with you and hopefully answer some questions. So take a screenshot of this if you need to know what we're focusing on in these charts. All right, we're switching screens again. Again, bear with me. Okay, hopefully you're seeing this example of a record book. This is obviously not on the up-to-date form. I'm going to show you again where we're going to get those forms. This is last year's form. To me, this is a pretty simple, so you see section 1 for each project experiences. To me, this is a pretty simple version of it. If you're getting started off, I think this is an easy way to do it. If you're just doing a record book to keep track of things, I think this is an easy way to do it too. What this chart lacks, this chart was a good chart 2 years ago. I'm not going to go in depth because some of you might be newbies, but those of you that have been with us, you know that we now, when we put our record book together, which we'll focus on that in step 10, when we put our record book together, we don't include last year's record book. So we used to do that, which allowed, from a competitive aspect, it allowed for judges to compare growth from year to year. We no longer do that, so it's important that we show growth in our charts. This chart doesn't show growth from year to year, in my opinion, and that's a small point section on record book, so it's not a huge deal. But this is a really good, simple chart to get you started. And it's just an example. So obviously beef, was his project focused? Whatever your main project is, in whatever category that is represented by your main project, that's the project you need to list first. Ideally, I hope this makes sense to everyone, not just me, your project page looks like a funnel. It goes from your biggest, best project down to a project that you just don't have as much meat and potatoes for. And I think he does a good job showing that. See, we have the smaller project down here. He's only been in for 3 years, has a little less activity compared to, we have his beef project up here that he's been in for 8 years and has lots of activity. So he's been involved with it for 8 years. He could do, last year, he could do his current 4-H year and 3 previous. So that's, all of this represents his current 4-H year and 3 previous years. So he listed those years. Even though he's been in beef for 8 years, he didn't list all 8 years worth. Whereas these other items, he had only been in them for 3 years anyway, so it worked out that way. So you see, this is basically, he used this side for the what he did and this side for the what he learned. These, he's doing local, county, district, regional, state, just to show what level he did that on. And there's some different ways to do that, and we'll talk about those too. So if you want to screenshot this, maybe look at some of the things he included. To me, his project activities are really good. He didn't include hours spent. He didn't include time spent. He didn't do a summary. He just did what he did and what he learned. So this is basic, and this works, and this is still super helpful for him to go back and reflect on. Okay, hopefully you've been able to take a picture, or you can pause here and take some notes and just see that this is one example. All right, moving on to our next example. Again, bear with me, I've got to switch things up a little bit. Okay, this is a really old example. I don't even know where I got this example or whose this is. So this is obviously dated. This is not the correct form. Again, I just want to make that clear. But so they did, they split it out a little differently. Public speaking, and they basically did everything that this kid had done in terms of his public speaking project. So he competed, it looks like, in 3 different educational presentations, reaching 35 people total. I do like a people reach. That's, again, some of this is personal opinion. I like seeing people reached. Some of his different leadership roles that he served in, different things he did, MC, welcome speech, leading the pledge and motto for 200 people, some oral presentations, hours, he did do hours spent, and then a total number of people reached. This is pretty simple in terms of formatting. I don't think the formatting's bad. I'm not going to focus a ton on formatting in this training. If you want to get nitpicky on formatting, you can talk with your agents, or again, talk with me, and we can nitpick formatting. This is simple formatting, but to me it's clean. Then he did more down here, what he learned. I think it could have been a little more detailed, but again, I don't know the age of this person or who this person is. Obviously, they're a little older from some of these activities, but and then growth and change. Looks like personal growth. I like that. I haven't seen that quite as much. So there's just an example of another way that you can format. They didn't, from what I'm seeing, they didn't list their other projects, or maybe I'm just, I'm missing them. Here we go. So there's public speaking. Let's see if I can get the screen back how I want it. There we go. The GOAT project. Here's some more ideas there. What maybe a livestock project looks like, initial investment, net profit. You don't have to include that. Sometimes that's personal information you don't want to include, and that's fine. This person chose to. What they've learned. leadership, again, I'm trying to give y'all enough time if you need ideas or you want to take pictures of this to give you ideas later. So that was another example. I think I have one more example to show you. Again, this is an older one, but I think it just gives you some different options. You can use color. I should have pointed this out. This is one of two sections in the Texas 4-H record book that you format yourself. The other sections have charts that you don't have to do any formatting. So that's why these all look so different from each other, because this is one of the two sections that you get to choose how you format it. So that's why I'm showing you some different options. The other sections, in my opinion, are much easier because you don't have to format them. While I'm getting off track, I know I'm not referencing the new online system that much. The content that if you choose to make your record book through that online portal, the content stays the same. The meat and the potatoes that I've been talking about doesn't change of what you're inputting in your record book. You might have a few more restrictions using that online portal in terms of formatting in this specific project section. So, but I still think all of this is still very applicable. Okay, last example. She did use color. You're allowed to use color on this page. Make sure you're doing it tastefully. I don't think this is too much or over the top, but she did use some color. Maybe it helped her stand out a little bit. So again, rabbit project, what she did, total cost input, hours spent, what she learned. Again, she's using these to show what level she did it on. So this was on the county level, this was on the state level. And you can do up to 4 projects in this first section. So here's just some ideas. And I like this one because it shows she had some self-led project work in this health project. And I just think seeing other people's activities might trigger in your mind like, oh yeah, I forgot to list that. I did that too. So I'm going slow, so maybe you can pause, take some notes. Okay, now I'm going to show you, all of these are great options to me. To me, all of these, because they're a little dated and because of the change we went through last year, maybe don't show growth as much as I would like them to if you're doing record books for a competitive standpoint. Again, I would just like to reiterate that I think this page, because you do have the option to format it how you want it, there's a lot of personal opinion and preference that goes into it, but I get asked all the time, well, how would you do it? How would you do it? I think you need to decide what's going to reflect your projects the best. But I made up a mock little pretend section that if I had a child that I was helping record book with, or if I were an AJ in my county, this is the chart I would be promoting this year. So let me show that to you, and you don't have to agree with me. Okay, here we go. Again, this is fake. I don't have a kid. I just kind of made all of this up in my head earlier today. This is on this year's record book form. Again, I'm going to show you where you pull that from. If I had a kiddo competing in record books or doing a record book, this is how I would format this page. So I pulled the intermediate version of the chart. So let's just pretend I'm an intermediate. Beef is obviously would be my main project in the record book category I was going in. Even though, because I'm a junior, I can include 4 projects, my current year, and up to 3 proceedings. So current year, 3 proceeding. Even though I'm a 5th year participant, I'm not going to include all 5 years, but I do want to go ahead and put that this would be my 5th year in the beef project. So I just listed straight down here. The reason I'm choosing this chart and going year by year is because I think it shows growth the best. You can see in 2016-17, I only purchased 2 steers. In 2019, 20, I purchased 4 steers. And I'm not saying that that's a great indicator of growth. You could have purchased 2 steers all the way through and still have grown in other ways, but that's just an example. I did a number of showmanship clinics attended and led. Hopefully that is increasing. Steers exhibited at a county stock show, steers exhibited at a Texas major. This is another way you see growth. Like early on, maybe I wasn't going to Texas major livestock shows, and then I went to 2, and then I went to 3. I think that shows growth. Beef project mentor. Early on, I wasn't a project mentor, and then I became a project mentor. I don't have to read this to you, y'all can read. But that just gives you some ideas. And there's, again, this is all made up off the top of my head, but there's many things like, if you did a project demonstration at one of your club meetings, you put that in here. If you've gone on the radio and talked about your beef project, you would put that in here. If you did a write-up about your beef project to be put in the newspaper, you put that in here. If you did a beef educational presentation, if you competed in a beef skill-a-thon, maybe livestock judging could go under here if you're not doing livestock judging as a separate project. Anywho, there's all that. I did go ahead, I like it this way, other people might not. Total project hours you spent in that project for that year. Obviously, it's probably somewhat of a guesstimate, but try and think, how many hours did I spend at the barn each week? How many weeks did I have my steer? How many hours did I spend practicing for livestock skill-a-thon or at a livestock skill-a-thon contest, and total those hours up? I think it's good to see growth in terms of hours, that you're investing more and more time in your project. The more into your project you get. Same with total people impacted. And I get this question a lot, where does that number come from? Probably from what I put here. It's not super accurate representations, but from being a mentor, if you're helping other people, that total people impacted, that counts towards that number. If you did any sort of presentation at your club meeting, how many people you presented to, that plays into that number. If you did a radio broadcast, approximately how many people that could have reached, that plays into that number. Same with a newspaper write-up. If you led a group in, I think I put it on here. Yeah, a showmanship clinic, how many people did you lead or did you talk to at that showmanship clinic? Those are where you gather these numbers down here, total people impacted. Because you showed at Fort Worth Stock Show and there were 2,000 people in the crowd, you didn't impact 2,000 people by showing your steer there necessarily. So if you have questions on that, someone ask your agent or ask me and we can clarify, but maybe that gives you an idea of where that number comes from. So that would kind of be my what I did if I were creating a record book. And then here's my what I learned. This is how I would format it. Again, people format things really differently. I would just do a skills and knowledge gained and exhibited. I don't know. I probably need to play with that wording a little bit. I don't love that wording. But then I would just list it right here. Basic animal care, ruminant nutrition, genetics, beef management, responsible medicating, livestock evaluation, showmanship, leadership, and just kind of give a brief description of things you learned there. To me, if I did this, I wouldn't go ahead and include a summary too, because it's just a little extensive. And honestly, for a 5th-year beef participant, I think there's probably way more skills and knowledge to list there. But again, this is just an example that I made up in my head. So here's my example of how I would format the project page if I were doing it. I didn't make examples of other projects, but so basically I would have the next 4 pages to fill up. Maybe I only fill up 1 page, maybe I fill up 2, and that's great. But if I have room, or if I have more projects that I didn't have room to list in this section, which this section is section 1, we're going to scroll down here to section 4. This is the report form I've been telling y'all about. Section 4, other 4-H projects. And I could put another chart here of another 4-H project. I think keep the formatting consistent. However you formatted it in section 1, format your project the same way here in section 4. I know this was kind of fast and furious, but hopefully this gives you some ideas and visualization of how to set up your section 1 4-H project experiences. in my opinion, you've got to do a chart. I've seen people just do a full essay on these pages. Y'all, that's not going to help you when your kiddo's using this later down the road. It's not easy to reflect on. It's not easy for a judge to judge. You've got to use a chart of some sort. I think a chart like this is the best type of chart for reflecting growth. And remember, the meat and potatoes are what you did, what you learned. The extras would be if you want to do project hours, people impacted, money invested, if you made any profit off of your project, but those don't necessarily make that project page better, in my opinion. I really like total people impacted. To me, I think that shows a lot, and it shows that your 4-H projects have an impact on people other than just you, and I think that should be your goal in every 4-H project. So maybe this gives you an overview of the project experiences. Again, I know this was quick. If you have questions, reach out to your county extension agent or reach out to me in the comments. Before I stop this very informal video, I'm going to show y'all one more time where you need to go to download. We call this the record book form. You can maybe see it up there. To get the correct record book form. Bear with me. Okay, we're on the D1 4-H website. There's the address right there. Again, for record book things, because we do it a little bit differently in D1 for our juniors and intermediates, which long-term will make it so much easier when they become seniors, avoid going to the Texas 4-H, the state 4-H website, and come to our District 1 4-H website. Under 4-H events, you'll see record books, click record books. I've already done it, here I am. Senior record book form, so that's current 9th through 12th graders are in their senior record book form, which is the exact same as the state. Here's the junior and intermediate record book form that you will need to click and download for D1. Make sure we see these and the difference, and you're getting it from this D1 4-H website. Again, the category list is right here. The project list is here. Score sheet if you need to see that. Family guide might help answer some questions that I haven't answered. But just remember, when you look in this family guide, it gives you page allowances and maximum and minimum entry numbers for juniors and intermediates that we in District 1 don't follow. We give you more room. So make sure you're downloading this junior and intermediate form. I just can't say that enough. And as we finish and record these videos, here's where I'll be posting them. All right, thanks guys. I will talk to y'all next Thursday, and hopefully you have your project pages done by then.